from American Dream here in the beautiful state of New Jersey. We are live from the Dream Bar. We'll be here all day today as we all together, like a big New York, New Jersey family, encounter one of the craziest sports days ever written.
Watch out, Evan. There's some Bills fans sneaking in here.
Screw them.
I can see them.
Screw them.
I see you hiding over there.
Yeah, what's up, Bill fans?
There's another one back there. Oh, that's a Giant fan. That's a good one.
We are here all day at the Dream Mall. It's a big event sponsored by the New Jersey Hall of Fame here at American Dream and Surfside iced tea and vodka, sunshine in a can. I have to be honest with you, I got a massive stomach ache. It's not necessarily because of one of the roller coasters I went on. I'm sick about the Mets. We're going to all be here together, though. They play at 4 o'clock. We'll keep you posted. We got TVs set up. So we'll watch Game 2 of the National League Championship Series. Last night was a freaking disaster. It was everything you fear. They got their ass whipped in every possible way. The pitching was awful. The defense was awful. The base running was awful. The offense was awful. And you know what surprised me, Tiki? I've got a test. It's called the go-to-sleep test. Can I sleep at night? And it's funny, the Mets had 2 brutal postseason losses earlier in the playoffs to Milwaukee in Game 2, to Philadelphia in Game 2. I had better nights of sleep after those losses than I did last night, and I can't put my finger on it. I don't know if it's the fear of the Dodgers, that maybe they're that freaking good.
I don't think it's the fear of the Dodgers. By the way, I thought you were talking about the Giants for a second, and then you
didn't sleep last night either, by the way.
And then you started switching to the pitching and everything else. But look, it starts with the pitching. It started with the decision that Carlos Mendoza made to start Kodai Senga. And while it was cute the first time he did it, it didn't work out this time, and you knew it right away. After the first 4 batters, you could tell he was...
Well, that's why my biggest issue was I didn't want to start Kodai Senga. I argued it all weekend on the Rico Bronya. But once he stinks,
right.
Once Mendy identifies he doesn't have it, he needed to be out of the game in the first inning.
Right.
That was the biggest mistake he made because down 2-0, it shouldn't be the end of the world to this Mets team.
You know what it felt like to me? It felt like they were relying on magic to make it happen, as opposed to prudence. Prudence would have been starting Minaya, who's been the best pitcher, your ace, for the last 2 months or so. But going with Kodai Senga felt like it was magical. He's going to come out of nowhere like he did in the Brewers series and be fantastic, at least for a couple of innings. And then you could back it up and find a way to win the game. But he wasn't the only reason they lost. But early on in that game, you could feel all the energy get sucked out of the room because of how bad he was.
But think about this. When he made his start against the Phillies, he gave up a leadoff homer to Kyle Schwarber. To his credit, he settled down, and the Mets were able to keep themselves in the game until they finally got to the Philly bullpen in the 8th inning. The problem last night against the Dodgers is they let the game slip away. You know, after Max Muncy gets the 2-run hit, Senga, for some reason, and this to me was Mendy's biggest mistake, came out to pitch the 2nd inning, and things got even worse. And then he's got to go to Reed Garrett, and then David Peterson wasn't good, and obviously the Mets couldn't hit. It was an absolute mess. The good news is it's one game. You flush it. They play today. They've got their ace on the mound in Sean Manaea. The Dodgers are throwing a bullpen game. This starts with the Met offense. In the top of the 1st inning, at about 4:08, live here at the Dream Mall, I got to see the Mets score 5 runs in the first inning.
Lord.
They've got to do it.
We got a game watch going on today.
Oh, I know.
Is that what's going to happen?
Yes.
A game watch again?
Well, no. We're going to talk very little about the game. We're going to focus on what matters.
You can't
the
do
New York Jets.
No play-by-play.
No play-by-play.
No play-by-play today.
No play-by-play.
If I hear any play-by-play, you're switching seats with Sean and staring at the paintings on the wall.
Oh, I like that. That's a disaster. No play-by-play, just editorial opinions, but a lot of Jets and Yankees, which we'll get to later on in the show, because this is a massive day in New York sports that not only features the Mets playing at 4 o'clock, it features the Yankees opening up the American League Championship Series. They have not opened up an ALCS at Yankee Stadium in over a decade. And I said this to you last week, and now we're on game day, and I feel the same way. This is the most significant New York Jets game they've played in 9 years. So we got a lot to cover. Now let me get to your football team. Can I be very simplistic on this?
Please.
If you go back to last night's very winnable game against the Cincinnati Bengals, there was one moment. There's a lot of moments on why you lose a game, don't get me wrong, but there was one specific moment that felt like the biggest punch in the face during this Giant game. And I don't know if it's necessarily the play that's being talked about as much. So the Giants come back. They tie the game at 7. Remember, Joe Burrow has that run early. The defense does an absolutely fantastic job. And then the defense allows the Bengals on the very next drive to march down the field, and Evan McPherson hits that field goal. Not the end of the world.
Nope.
The Giants offense responded on the following drive and set up Greg Joseph for a very makeable 48-yard field goal. And I hate to put it all on the kicker, but to me, that entire game changed when it should be 10-10.
It should be 10-10.
You took the momentum right back after you're trailing 7-0 for an hour and a half. Your offense finally marches down the field. Tyrone Tracy gets in the end zone. They're converting on fourth downs. And even though the defense allowed the Bengals, and the defense did an outstanding job in this game, to march and score those three, they responded.
True.
I thought that missed field goal and what it led to later when basically Brian Daboll says, I have no confidence in Greg Joseph. Fourth down from the 37-yard line, he says, screw it. I'm not kicking a field goal. I think it changed everything, and I thought that was reason number one they lost last night.
I think the biggest reason the Giants lost last night is because the Cincinnati Bengals had players making plays, and the Giants did not. We had this same conversation after Daniel Jones in the last primetime game, where he still hasn't performed at a high level, when the spotlight is hottest, when everybody is watching, when you have to make those plays to make a name for yourself. He hasn't done it. But you saw Jamar Chase making a play on a scramble by Joe Burrow. He wasn't even scrambling. Stayed in the pocket. He just had forever to throw the football. A contested catch, he makes it. The Giants don't have players that do that enough, whereas the Cincinnati Bengals did. The Cincinnati Bengals aren't a good team. Right, they were 1-4 coming into this game. They don't execute well on offense, despite having one of the top quarterbacks in the league. Defensively, they can be had if you're smart and consistent with them. They're not impressive. They don't feel like a team that's going to the Super Bowl, but they have players that will, in moments, make plays. One of them is a kid from Princeton, Andre Yosevas, who made that great catch down the sideline, that series of 3 plays that basically ended the game for the New York Giants. You got to have players that make big plays. The Giants don't have enough of them, and it starts with the quarterback. So, yes, it's on Greg Joseph, literally, because he can't kick a ball through the uprights, but it's also on make plays in big games. It's how you define yourself. It's how you become memorable. Pete Alonso hitting a 3-run home run, right, to win a baseball game. Make plays when everybody's watching. You know what? It takes a certain type of athlete and player to do that. The Giants don't have enough of them.
Well, and here's the difference between Pete Alonso and Daniel Jones. And you hit on it 2 weeks ago. It's not coming with Daniel Jones. For us to sit here and wait for him to make that big play in a prime-time game, we're going to be waiting forever.
Right.
It's not going to happen. And what I said about Pete right before he broke through against the Brewers is that I know what he's capable of.
Because he's done it before.
He's done it before. Daniel Jones, for the most part, really hasn't. And so last night, and there's a myriad of reasons why you lose a game like that. One of the reasons is what you were saying 2 weeks ago. You have a quarterback, and while you're waiting for that big play and for that big moment, you know deep down it's never coming.
Right.
And last night was another example of that, which is why you can't make the little mistakes that they made throughout the night, missing a field goal, letting Joe Burrow run for days. You can't make those mistakes because you don't have a quarterback that's the mistake eraser like other teams have.
It's also just doing the easy. So everybody will talk about the interception that he threw down at inside the tight red area. He holds onto the ball too long. He lets it go too late. His arm gets hit, intercepted. It changed the nature of the game for them.
Sure.
The easy throw is in the flat to Tyrone Tracy. And he was looking at him. It was there. Your Illuminor is beat. Get rid of the ball to the guy in the flat. This corner is running away from the running back. It's wide open. Just don't think. The problem with Daniel Jones is that he thinks too much. And maybe that's because he's a smart kid. And so he sees the bigger picture. But sometimes it happens so quickly in the NFL. The smart play is the easy play.
Right.
And he doesn't do that enough. Because you dump that down to your running back. Tyrone Tracy's been great these last couple of weeks. You dump that down to the running back. The corner's running away from him. Maybe he breaks a tackle and scores a touchdown.
Right.
Instead, you get an interception, and it changes the game.
Well, and even,
just like that.
And even if Tracy doesn't end up in the end zone, you get 3 points out of it.
Right.
If you avoid screwing up, it's a 7-3 game.
That's right.
And there's a lot of these.
Especially in a 17-7 game.
And 17-7 is misleading. It was a 10-7 game.
That's right.
17-7 is completely misleading at that point. That was a touchdown by Chase Brown that, obviously ended the game. He could have gone down too, by the way, for anyone who cares about that kind of stuff. I guess that would have affected the cover. Wasn't the number 3.5?
Yeah.
Right around there.
Yeah.
So I guess Chase Brown made those who laid the points with the Bengals happy. But there were so many little mistakes that this quarterback made. Go back even earlier. Wan'Dale Robinson was wide open. And this was on like the third drive of the game. They're down 7-0. It's a 3rd and 8. And Wan'Dale Robinson probably doesn't go to the house, but it's a first down.
Right.
And all of a sudden you flip the field on the Cincinnati Bengals, and instead he threw wide to him.
Right.
He missed him. And there's a lot of examples of that. And look, as a Giant fan, you almost shrug your shoulders and say, what the hell are we supposed to do? We're stuck with him, at least for the year. He's our quarterback. But I think what really makes it frustrating is they're good enough in a lot of other areas to win these games.
Defensively, they've been very impressive.
No question.
Now they gave up the big run to Burrow at the beginning of the game, and I think that was just a missed assignment up front. They were supposed to do a stunt, but the stunt didn't happen until late. So Joe Burrow had nobody in front of him playing man coverage behind, so everybody's back is turned. But other than that, they played phenomenal football.
Teague, not only did they play phenomenal, when Brian Daboll, and I don't hate him for this, and we'll get into this a little bit later on, some of his 4th down decisions. When they went for it with balls of stone, 4th and 2 from their own 38-yard line.
You can't tell him that he doesn't have it anymore because he went for it 5 times yesterday. One of them was desperation, obviously, but 5 times he went for it.
We can argue if it was the right decision or not. He showed Dabolls, that's for sure. But when they failed and the Bengals are set up in Giant territory, Azeez Ojulari, who you almost forgot was on the team at the beginning of the season, has been as impactful as anybody and forced a huge turnover that set them up to tie the game. So even when the offense comes up small and they essentially turn the ball over, I know it's not really a turnover, but a turnover on downs in your own territory, it basically is. The defense stepped up and made big plays whenever they needed it. So I think they performed even a lot better than people are giving them credit for. They didn't allow 17 points. They essentially allowed 10 points and gave this offense every opportunity to win the football game.
It's how the Giants are going to have to win. Keep it close and steal one at the end. By the way, 2022, when Dave came in and won Coach of the Year, that's exactly what they did. They won a bunch of games on the last possession of the game, whether it was their defense making a play or their offense making a play, getting in field goal range and kicking a field goal. I mean, there's no shame in winning games ugly.
Doesn't matter.
Especially when your team is not fully baked yet. You know what I mean? There's not that superstar quarterback. There's not that bevy of playmakers who are going to do it every single opportunity that they get. So win ugly if you have to. The reason this was so frustrating is they didn't play great. And they still could have won this game.
They should have won the game.
I never say should have because the Bengals did what they were supposed to do. They should have won the game too because of how they played. And they did. The Giants could have won this game, and it was because they didn't make the plays when they needed to.
That defense held the Cincinnati Bengals to 10 freaking points.
Yes.
You win games when you do that.
Right.
That's the bottom line to me. So I would think, as much as I didn't have a good night's sleep last night because I was miserable thinking about the Mets getting their tuchuses kicked, I would assume that the Giant fan did not sleep well. Is that a fair interpretation,
Well, I
John?
didn't sleep at all since I was on a plane.
Well, you have a
back
different
from
excuse. You have a different excuse.
I tossed and turned all freaking night. If you were to tell us on Friday when we left the show the Giant defense was going to do that to that offense and you didn't win the game, that is the worst loss of the year in a line of them that are now mounting for the Giants. And Evan, you just alluded to it. Whether it's the defensive talent, the coaching, I am watching a team eerily similar to 2022 that I know talent 1 through 53 is good enough to be a playoff team in the NFC, and they are now stashing losses in their pocket that are going to come back to haunt them. And I don't care if Daniel Jones can't make the big play in prime time. I still come back to that pick. You can't throw it.
I agree.
You cannot change the entire game.
You throw it, you just throw it sooner to the flat.
And also, I don't know what goes on at practice, and I love Andrew Thomas, and I hope we get good news on him. But that RPO option when he's illegally downfield and eliminates a 56-yard play to Darius Slayton that would have flipped the field and set the Giants up for a potential score was absolutely a killer, too. How do you not drill that in practice and get in that territory
I've
with
watched
that field?
it a dozen times. I don't know if it was an RPO, though. Because everybody else is blocking behind
But
the
how
line
does
of scrimmage.
Thomas make that mistake?
I don't know,
He's the best
because
lineman on the team.
He's out of balance and he's falling forward, so he just steps forward.
But that's the thing. This Giant team can win games. They can't make stupid
Right.
mistakes.
No.
That's a stupid mistake. Daniel Jones' interception is a stupid mistake. It's not a stupid mistake missing a field goal, but again, when you're not that good, you can't miss field goals.
What do you mean it's not a stupid mistake?
Well,
you're paid to kick a
it's
ball
a
through the upright.
It's a physical
That's the
mistake.
stupidest mistake there is in football.
You know what? Fine. It's
You
a
do
stupid
one
mistake.
thing.
He missed the second one, too, by
You
the
do
way.
one thing. Kick a ball through upright. One thing. It's simple. So when you don't, it's a stupid mistake.
And we alluded to this Friday. The new holder, Matt Hawk, He hawked to it and held that ball no problem. That wasn't the issue. It's just a missed kick.
What I've realized is that Tiki, like every other football player, they hate the non-football player known as kickers.
I don't hate
Basically,
them.
what are you here
I don't
for?
hate them. But when they miss multiple field goals in a game, Jay Feely, then you can't
Seattle.
you can't help but get mad at them. It's like you got one thing to do, and we're putting you in a situation at the end of the game. Sean was talking about the second missed one. At the end of the game, we got 2 scores. We got to kick a field goal, and then we'll try to recover the onside kick. He missed that one, too.
I think the problem is you realize how much you miss Graham Gano.
Yeah.
Graham Gano's really good.
And he's eligible to come off IR this week. It was just updated by Dable a little while ago. If he's ready to come off IR, he'll return. If not, Greg Joseph will kick again next week versus
Look,
Philly. How will that go?
If you have a real kicker, it's a completely different game. Maybe you win that game. And that's the problem right now with
not only do we win that game, we also win
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think the problem is the Giants aren't a great team, but the NFC East isn't a great division.
No, it's not.
And they're good enough to be right there. And they are right there in games, and little stupid mistakes cannot be made.
Right. It frustrates you even more when you watch the Dallas Cowboys get destroyed by the Detroit Lions.
Absolutely.
You watch the Eagles play poorly, even though they ended up winning against who'd they play this week?
Browns
against the Browns, who were bad. So the Giants should be in this division. Let's be honest, they still are.
Yeah.
In a way.
No, I get
even
you.
at 2-4, they're still in the division.
Oh, they win in 6 days. We'll be giddy again. We'll be back.
That's true. It was a very weird night for the Met Giant fan. Tonight, it's a weird night for the Jet Yankee fan. It's a part of this quartet of sports insanity. We will get to your phone calls. The Giant fan who's still pissed off from last night. The Met fan who's annoyed about last night but has now begun to look ahead.
Yeah.
Because in 1 hour and 45 minutes, the Mets get a new opportunity. They have a chance to erase the embarrassment of Game 1 by evening this series up against the Los Angeles Dodgers.
And Evan, we should encourage anybody in their car right now going out to MetLife Stadium, looking for something to do, come up to the Dream Bar at American Dream. Come hang out with us right now.
Absolutely.
Jet fans are mounted and pumped up.
What I've never realized, even though I should have, by being here at the Dream Bar and being here at American Dream is, I give you our setup. We're on this stage. We're at this beautiful bar. There's a lot of smiling Jet fans. There's a few Bill fans. We'll try to ignore them. And when I look behind me,
There's one. The other guy left.
good. I see the parking lot of MetLife Stadium. I mean, literally, it's 100 yards away?
Yeah.
It's right there. And so the line right now to get into the parking lot, which opens up in 45 minutes, is a very long line. People are getting ready to tailgate. Well, you've got another option. You could just come over here because, especially where we're at, the tunnel that takes you right to MetLife Stadium is feet away from us.
Concourse A, if you're coming to American Dream, park there. The walk-in tunnel to the stadium is very easy.
This has actually changed my experience as a Jet season ticket holder. I can very easily now convince my wife to just bring the kids, go on the Nickelodeon rides. Dad is going into MetLife Stadium to watch the Jets break my heart.
Don't let Dad on the rides because he might throw up like Sean almost did. How's the food down there? Good? Good? Excellent. Looks delicious.
The food looks amazing. So come on out to American Dream. We're going to be here all day. And I promise you, to the New York Jet fan, we're here for you. To the New York Yankee fan, we are here for you. For the New York Met fan, it's a complicated day. We are here for you. For the Giant fan, we're here for you. We hit on every team all day long. We'll talk to you throughout the day. The toll-free number is 888-808-1019.